All right, welcome. I'm going to give you a quick tutorial today on making some festive little drink sleeve holders. I'll link everything that you see here. These drink sleeves come from Amazon and they're very easy to stitch through. There's lots of different colors, but they do usually come in like sets of 10 to 20. So you can do this on any drink sleeve that you have. All of the stitching stickers that you see here are from my Festive Trim Stick and Stitch pack, which is also available as a PDF download. So you can either get the physical stickers sent to you, or you can download them as a PDF and print them off on stick and stitch paper yourself. And I'll link those in the video description as well. We're going to be using two different needles today, a size 5 DMC embroidery needle and a size 22 chenille needle. And then I'm going to keep it pretty simple with colors today. I've got 304, 3777, just the plain white blanc, 712, 3011, and 3045. And these are all DMC. And then I've got a pair of embroidery scissors, and that's all you're going to need. Let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is peel away your stick and stitch sticker and stick it onto your drink sleeve or your koozie. These fit really nicely across here with the length that they are. On my Christmas lights one, I added a couple more and just going to connect those lines when we start stitching. On these stick and stitch packs, it comes with 4 of each of these little groupings, so they're great for putting along edges of things because it's going to be repeating. And then the fa la 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 is going to fit nicely right along there as well. Let's start with the candy canes. We're going to do a simple whipped back stitch here, and we're also going to do whipped back stitch with a candy cane stitch on the fa la 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 la, but I'm going to show you how to do it flipped, basically. So on the candy canes, I'm going to have them be a little bit more bold on the white and a little bit less on the red. So I'm going to start with all 6 strands of the white thread, grab how much I need, and go ahead and get that through the eye of your needle that has the larger eye. This is my size 22 chenille needle. And once you get it through there, we'll just tie off a knot at the opposite end. And we're going to do a back stitch here. So when you're working with a koozie, you're going to have to kind of finagle it a lot. Don't be afraid to sort of push it around and move it around a bit so you can get your needle in and out of there easily. So I'm going to come up right here at the bottom. I'm going to make a little straight stitch out and pull that through. And then for every other stitch after that, you'll come up a stitch length away. And then you're going to go back down through the same hole from the previous stitch. Let's see if I can show you a little bit closer here. So I'm putting my needle back down through that same hole from the end of the previous stitch and pulling through. And then I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to come up a stitch length away, and go back down through the same hole from the end of the previous stitch. When you're working with stick and stitch paper, it's important to use your non-stitching hand to pinch on the inside and on the front down on the paper and kind of hold it down, especially as you are coming up through the fabric with your needle. And this helps your paper stick down and not come up, because sometimes if you come up through fast, your paper will lift, and that's really what can lead you to get to a sticky needle. So sort of hold it down really good. Once you get the paper more anchored down with more of your stitching, that will become less of an issue. But especially when you're just starting out, that's a helpful tip. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and back stitch all of these candy canes with the 6 strands of the white thread to start. Okay, so I got those all stitched. Now I'm going to use this little bit of this more berry brighter red. This is 304, and I'm just going to use 3 strands. Sometimes when I'm doing this whipped back stitch, this candy cane look, I like to half the amount of strands that I do the whipped back stitch part with. You could also do the same number of strands though if you wanted it to be more of an even weight, but I like kind of the look of the variation in color weights here. And I'm going to use my needle with the slightly smaller eye. That's the size 5 needle. Okay, and so for whipped back stitch, you're just going to come up at the end of the line that you're starting on. So pick one of your candy canes to start with. Pull up and through, and then you're going to push your needle up and underneath that first stitch and pull it through. Then you're going to come back around to that same side that you started on and push your needle up and underneath the next stitch and pull it through. Go underneath the next stitch and pull through. Go underneath the next stitch and pull through. Go underneath the next stitch and pull through. And it doesn't matter which side you start from, but just be consistent with it. So always make sure you're going back around to the same side to push your needle underneath from every time, even as you're working around these curves. Then as you get to the end here, I'm just going to do my last one. And you'll just make a down stitch right at the end. And then you can go ahead and repeat that on all of your other candy canes. All right, so this one's all done, and we're going to do a little bit of the reverse on that. On this one, I'm going to make the red the heavier section and then come in with more of an accent of an off-white color. And this time I'm just going to use slightly more muted colors. I'm going to use all 6 strands of 3777, and then we'll do 3 strands of 712. So on this one, you're going to back stitch with all 6 strands of 3777 on all of your lettering. And then I'll come in with 3 strands of 712 and do the whipped back stitch. So it's the exact same stitch technique that we used for this one, but you're just going to be stitching the words fa la 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 la, and then switching up so that the red's going to be a little thicker, and we can kind of look at how they look next to each other once I finish that up. So I'll go ahead and do that now. All right, so here's how the fa la 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 one looks when it's all done. So you can see this one has more white in it, this one has more red. They both look super fun. Now I'll quickly show you the Christmas lights one. I'm going to do candy cane trim on the garland here, and I'm going to use 6 strands of 304, and then I will use 3 strands of the white to do this part first. So I'm going to do the same technique that we did here, first to stitch in the garland, and then I'll show you how to add some lights. All right, so for the lights, I'm going to use 2 strands of each color. I did one of my green ones right here, and I'm using 3011 right now, so I have just 2 strands. And I'm going to use a little satin stitch to stitch these in. So I'm starting at the very tip of the light, and I'm going to go down to down through the center to the opposite end of the light and pull. And then I'm going to work my satin stitch on either side of there, on either side of that line. So I'll come up just a little bit below that first stitch, pull up, and go back down over across here. And I continue and fill in this side. So I'm moving down a little bit each time, following the outline here. And we always want to come up on the same side each time and go down opposite that. I'm going to come up right there. And this time I'm going to shorten the length of this stitch a little bit. So I'm going to go down a little bit above right here, following this edge of the line. I'll come back up. And go back down right here. I'm sort of tapering off to get this rounded edge by shortening the length of my stitches each time. So this one's going to be right here, and it's going to go down right here. And I think I'm going to try to do one more. I'm just going to do one more on this side just to round it out a little bit more. Okay, so you can see I've got half done. Now I'm just going to repeat that on the other half. I like using 2 strands here because this is kind of a long line that we pull down the center, and so I don't want it to get too bunched up when we wash the stabilizer paper away. So using just the 2 strands will help keep our stitches neater. But yeah, essentially that's the basics of this little satin stitch right here. Trying to make sure I can show you guys as best as possible. I'm going to do one more over here to round this out. Pull up, go back down right through here. And then I'll tie off my knot in the back, and then I'm doing the 3 colors, so I'm doing 30-11, and then in the middle I'll do 2 strands of 30-45, and then for the red I'll use 2 strands of 37-77, and I'm just going to repeat that all the way across. Alright, so here are all of my drink sleeves all done. After you finish stitching, you're going to take your koozie or your drink sleeve and run hot water over it until all of the remaining stabilizer washes away. And you can see it does just kind of get a little bit bunched up, but I still think these are super, super cute and how they turned out. Here's one with a little drink in it. And these would be so fun to have for holiday parties or as like a little hostess gift. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and I hope that you'll join me again soon for some more tutorials.